and what we're going to do this morning is talk about the weekend's Premier League soccer. It's been a fascinating weekend, and there has been a controversial dimension to it as well concerning VAR. I'm joined by Hamann and by John Giles. Let's, before we get on to VAR, which I know you've been against from the start, let's talk about the football and Liverpool and Manchester United in particular. I thought United played really well. It was one of the best performances since Solskjaer took over.
They did well yesterday. I always felt before the game, I thought it'll be a tough game for Liverpool, because if Man United has one performance in them, I always thought it'll be against the biggest rivals, Liverpool, and that's what happened yesterday. I still think Liverpool had most of the ball. It showed how far Liverpool has come, and in a way how far United has fallen. I think Klopp said it afterwards. I think he was probably a bit too strong, but United played very deep. They defended, or had to defend a lot, and there's just a gulfing class between these teams. If you look at the starting 11, if you look at the bench, Liverpool is in a different league to Manchester United at the moment. I think there's a lot of work to be done at United. As for Liverpool, I think a point at Old Trafford is never bad. That run of winning games was always coming to an end at some stage. I think they've done fantastically well end of last season, beginning of this season. So it's not a big problem to only get a draw at Old Trafford. They're still 6 points ahead. And things are looking very bright for Liverpool.
Yeah, John, it's amazing the Liverpool record at Old Trafford. Last 13 performances, before yesterday, in the last 13 games between United and Liverpool at Old Trafford, in all competitions, Liverpool have won 1. They've lost 9 and they've drawn 3. It's funny sometimes how you have a bogey ground, but it also is a fact that there's a particularly nasty edge to that rivalry, isn't there?
Well, there's been a rivalry over a long time. I mean, Everton had it. Liverpool had it for a long time with Dalglish and all the various great players that they had. And Manchester United hadn't won it for 25 years, I think, till Ferguson came along. And Ferguson said he was going to knock them off their perch.
Yeah, perch.
Yeah, and that's where the rivalry comes from. You know, because they were so close to each other and such great clubs. It's the way it is. It comes in cycles. It looks like it's Liverpool's turn to come back again, and Manchester United to go back. So the history over the years would have been that Manchester United had the better team for a long time than Liverpool, and it obviously builds the rivalry up.
What did you make of yesterday?
Well, I was disappointed with Liverpool, Eamon. I didn't think of course it's going to be a big game, and you know it's going to be a big game going into the Manchester United game, and they might have had a lot more possession, but I didn't think they played well.
No.
They didn't create a lot, very, very few chances, and Manchester United probably, I would agree, that they played better. This is the best I've seen them play this season, or certainly for a long, long time. Their attitude was good. They defended well. I didn't see the Klopp interview afterwards, but was he having a little bit of go about them defending?
Well, a little bit, but not serious.
Well, he shouldn't be making it at all, to be quite honest, Eamon, because Manchester United and any team that play against Liverpool are entitled to do what they do because Liverpool is such a good team. So overall, it's the result that matters to any team. And I think Manchester United had to play the way they played. They were going to play against Liverpool, and they did it extremely well.
Just let me move on to Mo Salah. Didi, apart from his goals, Salah is a hugely important player for Liverpool because of his ability, his pace, the threat he poses. He plays people in. I thought there was a big hole where Salah should be yesterday, and in no way was it filled by moving Mane over there and bringing in Origi.
No, it wasn't. But then again, if you lose a player like Salah, I think all three up top, Firmino and Mane, I think they're all as influential as each other, and they just link tremendously well with each other. And not only does he give you a lot of goals and assists, what he does, he stretches teams, because when he does get the ball, you always have to double him up. So if a central defender goes out to the fullback, or a central midfielder helps the fullback, it always leaves another player open, and it obviously creates space for the players. And I think this is why he's so important. Well, if anybody didn't know how important Salah is to Liverpool, I think yesterday they did find out. But they did okay. Origi coming in, he does a job. He can nick a goal. I think it was an easy game to come in yesterday, because it's always fast and furious against a deep sitting team, and that's obviously not really Origi's game. But Salah is a vital part, as are the other two, and hopefully he'll be back. Maybe tomorrow, or if not, the next weekend. Yeah,
John, it reminded me, looking at it, how what a fantastic player Salah is in all respects. Missed big time yesterday.
Well, he missed him. I don't think he should have been missed as much as you think he was, or did he was. But I'm talking about two Liverpool people here.
What are you talking about?
Well, I think it's a little bit biased, to be honest, Eamon. But I think Salah is a terrific player, Eamon. And he was missed yesterday. Was he missed as much as Liverpool poorly played? I don't think so. And he shouldn't be.
Sure.
No player should be. Origi is a good player, and going to Old Trafford, man, United are what they are, and they're a poor team this season, but they picked up their game against Liverpool, as you would expect them to do, and they're entitled to do. Salah is a terrific player. He was missed yesterday. I don't think he was missed as much as
I do,
as you do, or Didi's, and I don't think he should be in a team like Liverpool, to be honest.
Right. We'll come to the goal, United's first goal. First of all, VAR arises at this point in the conversation. Martin Atkinson, the referee, the incident between Lindelof and Origi happened about 25 yards in United's half. So it's a hell of a long way from the goal. Atkinson didn't see anything to warrant a free kick. Game continues, and United score a really, really good goal. There's no way VAR should be involved in that at all, is there?
I agree. VAR was brought in to make wrong decisions, 100% wrong decisions, something the referee didn't pick up.
Yeah, clear and obvious. Clear and obvious were the words.
A clear and obvious error, then VAR should come in. Now, in this case, I'd say a foul can be given, a foul must not be given.
Yeah.
So this is, under no circumstances, something they should have come in. Yes, there's contact. Is it enough contact for him to go down? I think he wanted to buy a free kick.
Yeah.
Yes, there was contact, but I don't think it was a clear and obvious error. That's why I was surprised that they did come in, they did have a look, but I think in the end they made the right decision.
Yeah, John, there's no way VAR is required there. Martin Atkinson has a call to make. The game is, the incident takes place in United's half, and an awful lot of stuff happened. Good stuff from James and Rashford.
Yeah, it was
a really good goal.
Yeah.
There was no need to get VAR involved in that at all, was there?
I don't think so. No. There's lots of things. There are lots of things that we could talk about VAR being right and wrong. I think that particular situation is wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a long way to go before Manchester United could score the goal and that. But the Liverpool players did complain about it, and Klopp complained about it. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's part of the game.
Yeah, chance their arm.
Of course they will, but I think you would agree. I think Didi agrees. It was wrong,
and it wasn't clear and obvious.
No, it was. It could have been. It couldn't have been. But the referee gave. It was hard to know. I think if he given a decision in Liverpool's favour at that particular end, I don't think too many people would have complained about it. Yeah. The complaint was that the play was allowed to continue. And Liverpool scored, Manchester United scored from it, and VAR had a look. I think VAR in that situation is wrong, and I think they will correct that in time. I know Didi's not a VAR man. I am a VAR man. You were a VAR man.
Yeah.
So I think in that situation, again, it's the first time it's been tried in the Premier League, Eamon. I think that situation is wrong. I think they will correct it. But overall, the decisions in the end were right. I mean, the Liverpool handball thing was, I didn't think it was a handball. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, a Mane's
thing, you know. So there's a lot to be put right with VAR. There's no doubt about it. And there has been a lot of controversy. And I think there will be more controversy before it's put right. But I think they're getting more decisions right than wrong.
Okay, Didi, I was very for VAR when it was proposed. Now, I don't know that I am so for it. I'm happy to have it there for clear and obvious penalties, for example, or offsides, or foul play. But I feel that it's not being used, and I'm not sure who's making the final call. So they've made a mess of introducing it, but you didn't want it anyway in the first place, did you?
Well, I think there's so many decisions. There's so many decisions that can be given and must not be given, and if it's used correctly, it should be used maybe once or twice on a weekend. Yeah, handball decisions or an offside decision which has not been seen, they're going far too often now. John talks about they will make changes and they will work it out how to use it. Now I think we're in the third season now. We've got the same problems here now than you've got after 3 months, and I don't see any progress in the whole process. When we go on back to the Lindelof incident on Saturday or yesterday,
yes.
Now there's no rule how far you can go back. We had goals scored in Germany 20, 25, 30 seconds after a foul happened where the whole team is behind the ball. Nobody picked the foul up. A goal is scored, then they go back and they say, well, maybe there was something. So there's no time frame that you say if it happens within 10 seconds of the goal scored or if it happens within 10 passes of the goal scored. So it's down to how the interpretation of the people who sit in their box outside the ground or in Munich, in Germany, in Cologne. And we will never get consistency because that goal that has been allowed for Manchester United, Liverpool might score that goal next week and it gets disallowed because the guys who are the video referees, they may deem it a foul. Now, if we bring it in on foul play, handball, I think they changed the rule now so that it should be pretty clear now what is hand and what is not, even though we had a few incidents where it wasn't. But when you do bring it in, foul play, it's always a subjective decision by the guy who watches it. Now, there might be 100 people or 99 people say it's not a foul. The one person who is responsible for that decision, he may think this is a foul. And I think when I said at the time, we open up a can of worms because people ask about consistency. You will never get consistency when you bring it in with foul play because there will always be somebody saying this is a foul or it's not a foul. And it should really only be brought in when somebody is hacked down, when there's no doubt whatsoever that it was a foul and for some reason it wasn't picked up by the referee.
Yeah, I must say, John, I've seen once Christensen for Chelsea, a clear handball, nothing. Yeah. So it's the inconsistency that it was brought in to try and make sure mistakes were eliminated, gross mistakes, that is, clear and obvious mistakes. Now it's in working. It's not working because, I mean, Didi's not clear. Germany, you've had it for 2 years, have you, Didi?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not clear. And there's an example from the weekend, Marco Reus for Dortmund, had a goal disallowed. Now, we're just not working it properly, John. No.
Well, I think it can be corrected. I know Didi's talking about 3 years in there, and hopefully it won't take that long to do it in the Premiership that we watch. And we are concentrating too on the mistakes. I think it was wrong on Saturday to go back that far. I think there should be a change in rule there that it goes back a certain period of time or a certain period of passes to stop that particular situation. And but if you go back over the weekend as well and you look at VAR, we're looking at all the mistakes that have been made. And
well, there were some this week, John. I'll just point out to you, in the Leicester game, for example, Chris Wood, Burnley, had a goal disallowed. Now, it was certainly not clear and obvious mistake. It was, Johnny Evans of Leicester was involved. The goal cost 2 points for.
What was the incident? What was
it was an own goal. It was just the ball touched a foot. A toe touched a heel, but it was no clear. It was unintentional.
Okay.
It was unintentional in the first place.
Okay.
It was just an unintentional collision. That was not what VAR was brought in for, in my view.
No, I don't agree with you. I mean, I'm not saying VAR is perfect. But if you go back on that without VAR, and there was a goal given or not given, how much controversy would there be about that?
But none, because no one saw it.
Well, that might be one incident.
I'm not being clever. I'm
not saying you're trying to be clever. I'm not trying to be clever, Eamon.
No.
I think this is. I still in favour of VAR. I think they will get it right, and I think they get it more right than wrong with decisions that we've had. It's not perfect. I know it's not perfect. No, there's some decisions about it.
The point is that here we have three people, all with vast experience of the game. Didi, you, me, all vast experience, and we actually don't know. And I'd like to put this to you. I'm not sure how it works, Didi. I'm not sure who made the final call at Old Trafford, although I think it was the guy in a box in London.
Yeah, well, I think the bigger picture is, and obviously they do get some right, but then again, we talk about the gross mistakes, and I expect the referee to make these calls right. Now, the big problem, and there might have been some incidents where they reversed calls, which in the end was the right call. Yeah. But we had that before. If things are looked at, and we had incidents in Germany where it's a clear penalty, and everybody says this is a handball, should be a penalty. It goes to the box in Cologne, and they come back and say it's not a penalty. Now, I can accept the referee making a mistake. I can't accept if three other people look at the incident and they still come back with the wrong decision. I can't accept it. And on top of that, I think we've got about, and FIFA always, they always hype themselves saying we used to have 97 or 98.2% right decision. Now we got 98.8. What we gained with VAR, getting a couple of calls right, but still having a lot of calls wrong, even after having a look at it, and what we lost with emotion, people don't know when to celebrate or how to celebrate or if to celebrate. So what we've gained by getting per weekend 5 or 6 or 7 right decisions more to what we've lost, because the emotion is a big part of the game. Yes. What we've lost is far greater than what we've gained. And this is why I was always critical of it. Now, having seen it for 2 years, I'm even more critical. I don't think it will ever work. You can make changes, whatever, because there's so many grey areas in football. It's not in American football it works, because every move is a set piece. Yes. And it's stop-start. Football is a flowing game. This is why people watch it around the world. And why is the Premier League the most watched? Because the ball is in play all the time. The referees don't whistle as much as in Germany or Italy. It's a flowing game, and the flow of the game makes a game being good or not good. And this is what we've lost, and the emotion getting out of the game. And I dread situations like yesterday where the United players stand there, the fans stand there, nobody knows what's going to happen. They look at an incident they should never look at. And I think what we've lost is far greater than what we've gained.
John?
No, I don't agree with that at all, Eamon, actually. When you talk about the emotion of it, say last year when Spurs were playing Manchester United, Man City,
and Aguero was off that.
Yeah. What was the emotion of the Spurs fans?
Delight.
I don't agree with that. Sorry, Didi.
But hold on now. Hold on. I think the point, that to be fair to Didi, I think the point he's making is that the uncertainty that we were trying to get rid of, or the mistakes, has been replaced by another. They're not operating this very well.
I'm talking about the emotion element of it. I've heard it before. I don't agree with it. Because if it goes in your favour, the crowd are doubly emotional about getting it their way. Like the Manchester United supporters yesterday, when Sané was given, that looked a goal to me, I couldn't see the handball, and it's given against him. Right? And it goes Manchester United's favour. That's the emotion that they're looking for as well. I know what media's saying, but if many times when we didn't have VAR, Eamon, and the emotion of the crowd, and it's only the home crowd, if it favours them as the emotion, then the people who are going away are raging because they see it from their point of view.
Did he?
But John, you want to celebrate when the goal goes in. Surely you have to agree with me. it's different. The goal goes in, Rashford scores, they're ecstatic, yeah? Everybody's celebrating. Surely the enjoyment and the enthusiasm and all the emotion is different than to 90 seconds later when a guy on the screen says, yes, it's a goal.
Well,
it's been replaced. It's changed.
Well, there is an emotion. There is that emotion, but the emotion is still there for Manchester United. If I remember when the goal was given,
I want to strip this down for a moment. I want to take emotion out of it, and I want to ask both of you a question. And this is the question: are you confident, John, that you know what's happening in the present circumstances? For example, wouldn't it be better if everyone in the stadium had a big screen? Wouldn't it be better if it was like rugby, where the conversation between the person in the box in London and the referee was, everyone could hear it?
Yes, I agree with that, Eamon.
Right.
We haven't been discussing that. Of course,
no, but I wanted. Do you understand how it works?
Not particularly.
Right.
No, but hang on. If you say to me, do I agree with you that we should know more about it? I do, definitely. I know, and I think that should happen.
That's really what we're discussing here. We're not discussing...
Yeah, but can that be put right?
Yes.
Yes.
It can
that's
be.
what I think it will happen.
Okay, but then there are... who's making the decision, John? The final decision on whether or not it's a goal? Is it the referee on the pitch? Or is it the man in the box?
This is what I think, Eamon. I'm not sure, and we all should be sure.
Yeah.
I think if the referee makes a decision, like yesterday when he didn't give the free kick, say, in that particular match, I think the guys upstairs say to the referee, I think you should have a look at that.
But that's not a clear and obvious mistake, which is what the rule says.
Well, that's what the referee... I'm only telling you what I think it is, okay? If this is what I think, don't be nodding your head at me. I'm not making the rules. I'm only giving you my opinion on what it is, okay? I think yesterday, this is what I think, when that decision was made and he didn't give the free kick, right? Then they went up and scored. I think the guys up above said, I think you should have a look at that. Now, I think the referee has the power to say, no,
yes,
I think it's okay.
Right.
That's what I think. But I'm not sure, and we should be sure. I agree with that.
Well, that's the point I'm making. We got two of the most distinguished footballers ever to play football, and experienced and intelligent, and neither of you really are sure how this works, are you?
No, but I agree, Eamon. I agree with you what you just said. If it's a clear and obvious mistake, then the guy in London, wherever he sits, should make their call, because once he says to the referee, have a look at this. It doesn't qualify to be looked at, because if he's not sure, if he's not 100% sure whether it is or it isn't, then why does a referee need to have a look? Yeah. And the decision, they should only come in so often. They come in far too often at the moment for me.
Right.
Then that call can be made from the guy who's the video referee, and he's got to make the call and he makes the decision. And I think that's the only way forward, because once, then the other thing is, the referee, we had numerous situations where the guy goes over there, there's 60,000 singing in the background, maybe the sun is shining, he goes in the booth and he's got to make a call within 30, 40, 50 seconds. He's got to make a call which he obviously made wrong in the first place. So I don't think this is a way forward. And once the referee is called over, I don't think it does qualify for VAR, and the call should be made by the video referee.
Okay. Can I just say anything? Yes. I agree entirely with that. I've said from the start. See, I think what's happened with VAR, with the referees, in my opinion, the referees never wanted, Eamon, to give away the power they had.
Yep.
Ever. That's my opinion. So when this came in, they still didn't take the power from the referee. In the rugby, they do, right? So if that decision was made yesterday, right, on the goal, then the guy upstairs should be making the decision. He shouldn't say to the referee, do you think you should have given that? He should say, we want to have a look at that. And he makes the decision. Okay, like, you follow the rugby. That's the way the rugby works, doesn't it?
No, the rugby works by a discussion. They have a lot of angles. They have a discussion. The final decision is made on the field. I think.
By who?
I think by the referee.
But what I'm saying is that now in the rugby, if there's a controversial decision, the guys upstairs can say, we want to have a look at that.
Well, the way it works in the rugby, as far as I've seen it, and I've watched a lot of rugby recently, is it's the referee on the pitch. When he's not clear, he asks for assistance from the people upstairs. That's the way it works. Now, I want to...
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Now, we can come back to it. Now, I just want to point out to one other thing. Watford, and let's talk about Tottenham. They've got a problem. They were losing 1-0 at home to Watford. Vertonghen gave a penalty away. It went to VAR and it wasn't given. Another spoiled match. But let's talk about Tottenham. Didi, they've struggled a big time. The coach is under massive pressure, and it looks like there's a revolt going on involving Eriksen, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Danny Rose, a lot of people who are out of contract soon. How do you see that working out?
Not very well. I think things will get worse at Spurs before they get better, because I think the manager always reminded the chairman that going into the season with 4 players on the last year of the contracts is a huge risk. And I think that's what we see now. There's always been talk about discrepancies between what Pochettino wants, what Levy does. I think he even come out, Levy, the other day and said there were players in the past he bought himself without permission or without knowledge of the manager. And it's uncertainty. And, in a dressing room, if you've got 4 players, Eriksen, I think, made it pretty clear he wants away. Alderweireld made it clear, maybe not so much this summer, but the year before, where he's been benched for a few games by Pochettino. In a dressing room, I think it can go viral, and it can really poison a dressing room, because as a player, you want people who are on board, where, when we go out on a Saturday afternoon, everybody's pulling in the right direction. Everybody wants to do it. Now, you've got 4 players who may say, well, maybe I play a little bit for myself because I want to get a move. The better I play, or the better I play for myself, maybe not for the team, the better club or the better offer I will get in the summer. I think that's what we see now. I think he's an outstanding manager. I think he's been left alone by the chairman. Obviously, they didn't buy any players for 2 transfer windows. They still got to the Champions League final last year. For me, he's still one of the best managers, but I think the way Spurs is run, it was always going to come to a head. And unfortunately for Spurs fans, it seems to be this season.
Yeah, John, that point Didi made there about the way the club is run, with Daniel Levy making the big calls on transfers and on salaries. And as you pointed out to us several times on the podcast, Pochettino saying earlier in the season, pre-season, don't call me the manager. I'm not the manager. I'm the head coach. In other words, I've nothing to do with the decision-making process. That's beginning to blow up in their face, isn't it?
Well, everything in a football club is one thing, a great sport. We're the soccer men. If it's not right, it manifests itself on the pitch.
Yeah,
that's the big. It's not business where somebody can pull a stroke here and stroke there. In football, if it's not right, it manifests itself on the pitch. This hasn't just happened to Spurs. This has happened over a period of time.
Yes, Harry Redknapp was there as coach and manager, and all kinds of people.
So Levy does what he wants to do.
Yeah,
and I did read in the summer that he does have 2 people, right, on the committee for the buying of players, apparently.
Yeah.
Right. So they're his people. They're not Pochettino's people. So if it comes to a vote, right, and Pochettino wants A and they want B, it's always going to be B. And that's why Pochettino said, if I'm not in charge of what's going on, I'm not the manager. No, what he was saying was, if you buy players in my name as the manager,
yes,
I don't want to be responsible for people that I haven't brought in. So I want to be the coach. That's what he was doing. And I agree totally with Didi. When you get a dressing room, I mean, with 4 or 5 characters, which there is in the Spurs team, who've made it known they're not signing a new deal, and in Eriksen's case, I want to go. Football is a very, very delicate game, and team spirit. It's very hard to describe team spirit. But what I felt, when my time with Leeds, for example, we were all pulling together, right? There was nobody talking about our contracts. We wanted to believe that Don Revie was there forever, and we were there forever. So we're all wanting the same thing. So you get a dressing room, say in my time, Alan Clark, Mick Jones, say Norman Hunter and Billy Bremner are in dispute with the club, right? How can you be pulling in the same direction?
Yeah.
It's impossible. Right? So what's happening in Spurs it was inevitable. And I think, to be honest, I think what Pochettino should have done immediately after the the Champions League final was resign. Get out. Because I think he thought, well, I can do this, I can do like managers, I can work around this, I can work around the chairman. It doesn't happen. Unless he had the power to do it, which he didn't. I think after the Champions League final, he should have said, I'm out. And then all he has to do is sit back and he'll get a top job. But if you, and Didi said it as well, morale, how do you describe morale, Eamon? How do you define morale? You know? And they don't have it.
The basic principle is we're all in this together.
And it's hard enough to win things when you're like that. Very hard to win things when you have all that. And it's impossible to win things and be good when you have what Spurs have.
Didi, just to go back for a moment to the Liverpool situation, they have a fairly strong bench now. They were able to bring people on. In terms of the Premier League versus the Champions League, if you can make these distinctions, would you say, as a former Liverpool man, the league is the big thing now for this season for Liverpool?
Well, it might be for the fans, but I think as a player, as a manager, I don't think you can think like that, because you've got to stay in the moment. You've got to play every game as it comes, and you've got to play it at its merit. And if you were to say, well, we forgot about a Champions League, then you've got the problem that you may only have from January, February. Then you may play Europa League, so you still have other games to play. I don't think Liverpool will finish or will want to finish bottom in the Champions League group. Then you've got to keep people happy. You know, that's another issue then, when you've got only a game a week and you've got 22 players who want to play. So that's another potential problem for the manager. And I don't think you can think like this. And if you do well in the Champions League, I think Liverpool got a fear factor now very few teams had in the past. You know, if you look at the great Barcelona team, if you look at Madrid, Manchester United in the late 90s, you know, wherever they go now, they are feared. And I think they've got to take advantage. Last year, you know, you say, well, what do they want to win? Well, they want to win a trophy. They still got 97 points and won the Champions League. So there's no reason to believe they can't win both this year. No. And if you have a good run in the Champions League, I think it gives you confidence for the league. So I don't agree with all their thinking. We should go out the League Cup, we should go out the FA Cup, get out the Champions League, try to win the league. It doesn't work like that. So, no, I think they've got to give it a go in all competitions. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get past 90 points or close to 100 points again. Whether it's enough, we'll see. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the Champions League final again come May.
Right. John, just a final question about that. You know, the club hasn't won the league for 29 years, which is incredible. Actually, it'll be 30 years this year. One of the things they have to face, they've 8 games in December. They have to play this World Cup Championship in Qatar. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure on them. Would you say yesterday's average performance was just a one-off?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very hard to maintain your form week in and week out to win. I mean,
and after international weeks again, it's particularly, they have a couple of players in South America. Firmino, for example, they've got the African players, and of course all their first team players, they're internationals anyway. Particularly tough after international weeks.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if they weren't all internationals, they wouldn't be playing for Liverpool.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's what you have to live with today, and it is very, very difficult for the managers. But I would agree with Didi. You can't prioritise what you're going for.
No.
Because you don't know. You just have to take every match that comes along.
And stay in the moment, as Didi says.
Exactly. And take each match that comes along. You can't be, you can't say, well, if you're playing Manchester United today, that's what you think about. Next week is next week. And I've seen it before in management. We said, we want to get 15 points by the end of September. It's a load of rubbish, because you can only play one match at a time, and that's why they have the bigger squads now than ever before, because they're needed. Will Liverpool have as big enough squad? We don't know. Injury situation, a bit of luck here, you don't know him, but they've got to just take the matches as they come, you know. And if they win the league again, or if they win the Champions League again, they don't win the league.
So what?
So what?
Okay, just one last question to both of you. Didi, Manchester United yesterday. Young James looks a good player, very, very good buy. Rashford had appeared to, he was lacking in confidence. He scored a goal for England away last week in Bulgaria. He looks to have regained his confidence. Could this be a turning point for their season, this performance?
Yeah, potentially could be, but I can't see it. I just don't think they have enough quality. And if you look at James, there will be a dip in form. He's come in, everything is new. Nobody really knew about him. He comes in, he scores a few goals, does terrifically well. There will be a dip in form, and then it remains to be seen how he comes back when he's at a bad spell.
Right.
Rashford's got potential. Martial's got potential. What I don't see, if young players want to improve at the speed you want them to improve, they need a settled team and they need experienced players around them they can rely on. Manchester United hasn't got that. And if I looked at the team yesterday, I was quite shocked, I've got to say. I look at the bench. They are nowhere near Liverpool. And I think it takes a lot more time. I think it takes a lot more money for United to get back where they were, where they want to be, where they probably should be. So yes, it could be a turning point, but I don't think it was.
John?
Well, it would be a turning point, in the position that they're in.
Yes.
Now, what we're talking about Manchester United is to be challenging for the trophies that they've done in the past. That's not going to happen. No. It was an improvement on what they were doing.
Yeah.
What were they? Third from the bottom, fourth, fifth?
They were 1 point outside the relegation zone before yesterday's game.
Even with improvement, a lot of improvement,
still a long
they're
way
going to
go.
get into mid-table. But that's their position. That's also. Now he'll tell you, well, I can only take one game at a time, and if we've improved, hopefully we'll go on and improve from now. But they certainly won't be challenging the big boys.
Okay.